In our last two sessions, we read a letter from a man who complained that his marriage was unhappy despite the efforts he had made to change it. I encouraged him to see that his efforts had really been kind of a joke, that he hadn't done enough to warrant any results. Now back to the writer of the letter. I reemphasize that we're talking here about saving your life. And if you're not willing to do everything required to achieve that goal, you'll continue to be miserable, a kind of living death. Sometimes half measures in life don't yield half results. Sometimes half measures yield absolutely nothing, or worse, disaster. Imagine, for example, that you're standing at the edge of a cliff, 2,000 feet above the canyon floor below. The opposite wall of the canyon is 10 feet away, and you have to jump to the other side. It won't do you any good to jump 5 feet halfway. You won't get extra credit either for jumping 5 feet multiple times. If you jump less than 10 feet, if you jump less than all the way, you die. Half measures won't work here. And it's really like that in life. You have to do what it takes, all of what it takes. Once you know what it takes, just do it. You'll have to make occasional sacrifices, but those sacrifices aren't really that great. Which is more difficult, for example, driving 30 minutes to a meeting or living in a marriage where you're in a constant state of conflict, which is exhausting. The anger, the frustration, the guilt, the stress, and everything else that goes along with a terrible marriage is much more difficult than anything you'll ever do to change it. Which is harder, making a phone call or two every day or living with the knowledge that you're doing serious harm to your children? Which is more difficult, climbing the sometimes difficult path out of the pit where you live now, or continuing to live in the pit? The way you're living now, consumed with emptiness and fear and responding with getting and protecting behaviors, is the hardest path of all. By comparison, studying the principles of real love, telling the truth about yourself, finding real love, and sharing it with others is much easier, not to mention more rewarding. You've had decades to experiment with living life your way and with making half-hearted efforts to change. Learn from the results and make a commitment to jump all the way. When you take this plan seriously, you'll begin to see miracles. You've already proven with your own experience that continuing to do things your way will yield you nothing but unhappiness. I promise you that if you'll do everything I've suggested with all your heart, you will begin to see significant changes. For one thing, you will be happier. And as your wife and children see real love in you, they can't help but be affected by that. Do the reading, attend the meetings, make the phone calls. These are not great investments to make for finding the greatest treasure in life.